So, hello everyone. This is FinEcon today, and we are really excited to have our speaker, Dr. Evan, PhD. He's a senior lecturer at Westminster International University in Tashkent, and he has really extensive experience in economics and finance, accounting, IT, and especially economic analysis. And he has published research papers too. And so happy to have you, Dr. Ivan.
Thank you so much. It's great to be, invited to your channel. Thank you for having me. So as you said, yes, I'm here, the last 2 years, University of Westminster. I came here, in fact, straight from the United States because I visited the United States for a second time. So just, tell you, a couple of things about me. I'm social policy economist. I hold a bachelor degree, business administration with concentration in finance, and an MBA in finance from University of Laverne, California. Then I got a master degree in economics from West Virginia University with specialization in international trade and financial economics the first time. Then I moved to Malaysia to do my PhD in economics with the field of research is social security. I worked there. I had the opportunity to work, also as a researcher, meaning I was blessed to do my doc plus postdoc at the same time. I worked 1 year as a junior research fellow. Then I moved to USM University. The first university was University of Malaysia. It's number 1 in Malaysia. Then I moved to number 2 to, as a teaching fellow to teach in a management department, corporate finance, macroeconomics for a year. Then again, I moved back to the States because of financial crisis, didn't end. It, haunts me the last 10, 15 years. So I went back to West Virginia to do my third master's in applied mathematics with specialization, with emphasis in statistics and mathematical modeling. And then when I finished, I went back to Greece for a couple of months. Then I got an offer from University of Westminster here in Tashkent. So here I am teaching at the faculty of the School of Business and Economics. I'm in the Department of Economics, and I teach health economics, labor economics. I taught also corporate finance, but now I have, focus on those courses. Plus, I did development economics. I taught development economics this semester, and I believe that will continue because this is a complementary, field with the other 2 fields of health and labor. And also, I have published more than 40 papers in, I would say, some weird, fields because, look, I want to write papers for issues that matter. I don't want to write a paper that only 2-3 people, and especially scholars, want to read it. So I focus, in terrorism, natural disasters. I wrote papers. Of course, I wrote on social security, which now it's number 1. Game theory, but game war theory about, war conflicts. And couple of years ago, I had also my first book on social security. It's some kind of textbook, which is, good for undergraduates because there's not such a, thing on social security. And I think it's the first book. And this has been translated in 7 languages in 6 months from, its publication in Europe. And we'll stick, keep going and see, how it goes.
Yeah. I'm still really impressed by your experience and extensive research in different fields. So basically, my first question is, you have worked in different countries, USA, Malaysia, Greece, and
Yeah,
you are now in
Greece. Yes,
Uzbek.
10 years in Greece. Yes, I have work experience. Which I will tell you something that many people don't like. If you want to
Yeah,
teach in economics on business, you need to have work experience. If you don't have a work experience, don't do it. Because, as I said, some lecturers or professors in the United States, I don't want to teach my students how to start a business or discuss about business issues, and I haven't worked in my life because, graduating from your bachelor, move to masters, and then for PhD, and especially in business environment, if you don't have a clue, it will backfire you, and this is a big problem for many lecturers. And I have the feeling that this kind of problems will be experienced my colleagues this coming semester that we launch our MBA, where all the students will be, managers, CEOs, and people from the industry that will have more experience than them. So this,
yeah, yeah,
it's a challenge. This is a challenge because in my classes I bring examples from my real world examples, and that's why I capture the interest of my students, because they say I like the way you teach because you tell me about economic theory, but at the same time you tell me how it works in real life, either in Malaysia, in Asia, which is a different philosophy, or in Europe or in the United States, and this gives me this opportunity to use my knowledge in the market in order to help students to understand what's going on, because it's nice theory, but if you cannot apply, it's useless.
yeah, true. And basically, I wanted to ask a question about economy principle. For example, you worked in like different countries, and have you noticed that maybe there are some differences between people understanding economic principles in different cultures? If you have noticed it.
Look, I will tell you in general that there is a pattern in every country, more or less is the
Yeah,
same, but it is defined based on how people perceive me, based on social, economic, cultural, or even religious characteristics. So I give you an example because this probably will capture your attention, and also the people who are listening to us. I told my students that, look, if you look for a job, let's say you go to find a job in the United States, one candidate will see, okay, the manager, a human resource manager, explain what's going on. This is, what we do and everything. And the candidate think, okay, where do I fit in this kind of dream that you are selling me? Meaning that he wants to see the development of him within the company. What it's in for him in the long run? Meaning he takes for granted that he will get this job. The other extreme is Asia. Asia is that you're supposed to be grateful that we will give a job, meaning you don't have this kind of illusion. You have this model, master slave model, meaning that, the bad thing is that those who are on top, either in every kind of hierarchy, they think that they will give you value based on the title that they will give you, meaning you don't have value as a person, per se. So you think that you're supposed to be grateful for the job that you will get, either through connections or not, in any industry. Where in Europe is something in between. In Europe, if you try to play this game like in the United States, that okay, what is for me, or I want more money, or or I need promotion, they will tell you in Europe, in many countries, look, you cannot ask for more, for more, because do you know how many people are in line in order to get your job? Meaning they threaten you that you will lose your job because there are already 200, 300 people. This is the problem with Europe, and it's coming, here in Tashkent, and also, in Asia. There are, in many countries. It's called, competition, meaning that you will apply for a financial analyst position, and you'll realize that you are not the only candidate, and probably there are 200 people, more or less the same qualifications with you. So that's many employers take advantage of this fact, and they try to squeeze or take people that will obey without any dream, to go, further, meaning to evolve with this environment. And this is wrong. And I'll tell you why it is wrong. Do you know why Soviet Union or communism collapsed? It was not about freedom. It was about performance, individual performance, meaning that back then, if you have any job, in a certain level, all of your, colleagues at that level, you get the same, compensation. And this was wrong, meaning someone that has, a better performance compared to someone with lousy performance, they will get paid the same. That's why in the end, employees decided, to provide the minimum. The same example I give to my students in labor economics. I say, let me ask you, if one day, let's say tomorrow, I will come to you, let me finish with this example because this will intrigue you. I'll come in class and I say I have, let's say I have 15 students, 5 students straight 8, 5B and 5C. And I will come and I'll tell you, I don't care whether you study or not for the whole semester, I will give you all of you B. What's going to happen? Straight A students will be pissed because, hey, what's the point to study? I will get B anyway, so I cannot get an A. B students will be indifferent, where C students will be happy because they cannot get a B. So, since, their ability is to get only C. In the end, no one will study.
Yeah. Especially, when it comes to competitions that you mentioned early on, the same thing is happening in Tashkent too, which I also noticed. And I study in South Korea, and I want to go back to Uzbekistan because there is less competition compared to here, because market here is so saturated. Even people from Western countries are coming to South Korea, Seoul, and other cities for the sake of employment. What do you think? How we can stand out in such a competitive market? If you have any advice, it can be in economics, it can be finance.
No, look, this it doesn't have to do. Look, I will tell you what's going on because in order to have, about competition, first of all, most of the young people, they want to be educated, which is, fair and square. Okay. First, we start from there. The second is that, the second is that we have academic inflation. What does it mean? It means that there are so many people with degrees in the end, because the market is determined, even the labor market, from supply and demand. You will get a job, office job. You're supposed to be get paid very well, but in the end, probably you'll get paid less and less because there are so many people to do the job. And there is also a problem with where you got, your degree, many things, meaning that I give you an example. The first country that has already problem in a PhD level is China, 2010. Meaning you start bachelor, the bachelor was standard to my country, Greece, around 2000 or before 2000. After that, you have to do your master or MBA. So many people start doing MBA. Now, the new standard in Greece is to have 1 bachelor, 2 masters, and speaks 3 languages. As you realize, the competition, increases. The only people that they don't have a clue about that is the Americans. The Americans, they believe with 1 degree and just English, this is enough. It's enough in the United States. But if they try to come to Europe, they are not competitive. To go where? To Switzerland, that they speak 4 fluent languages and they have 2 bachelors or 2 masters. Meaning, you cannot. Meaning, I'm trying to tell you that if you want to compete, you need to evolve. Meaning, bachelor now is a standard for Tashkent. It's not enough. You need now to move to a bachelor level, to a master level, or even to PhD if you don't want to do a labor job. Because even with a master degree, like in Greece, don't be surprised, as I said to my students, if you find someone working, at Corsinga and he has a master degree, and say, how it is possible? It is possible, guys, because you don't have research skills. If you want to get an office job nowadays, you need to possess programming skills, mathematical skills, statistics skills, and of course, data science. Data science is the future. Meaning, and from now on, not only you, also me, you need to educate yourself till you die, first of all. Second, you will change your career 2-3 times on your lifetime, which means probably now you're an economist. Don't be surprised that after 10-15 years, you'll tell me, okay, I graduated, now I become a doctor or a lawyer. Why? Because you need to change your career based on what is the demand of the market.
Yeah, okay, I got
So,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. And because because the term you mentioned early on, which is academic inflation, even some people I'm seeing in everyday life that they are not seeing the value of degree because it's getting inflated. So sometimes we argue that degree is becoming worthless. So maybe it's time has come to focus on only practical skills and taking some courses because university is not able to teach us some of the practical skills, mostly theory. And what do you think about the importance of degree in 21st century? And is it possible to succeed maybe in some careers without any degree? What do you think about
Look,
that?
that's why we have now microcredits, which refers to companies or private, institutions that offer you that kind of, flexibility. Why? 30 years or 40 years ago, if you want to change jobs, it was easy because you learn some kind of trade, and in 3 to 6 months, you can move to one job to another. Nowadays, it's not possible. And I will tell you with one sentence: you cannot make a plumber to turn him into a software engineer. This is not possible, which means you need a degree at least 4 years to study. And of course, you have the background on the high school to support it in order to get this kind of skills. Now, the new standard, as I said, is bachelor. If you have the bachelor, you have the ability to adjust. Most of you, especially the guys, you are smart. It's not like the girls that they want to these humanities or whatever soft skill, degrees that they don't have any use anymore. And if you study economics, mathematics, business, or IT, you have the skills, the proper skills, and especially the mathematical foundation to make these adjustments. It will not take, meaning you don't need another degree. What you need is to get these professional certificates. I suggest to my students, guys, before graduating, please get your data science, certificate from Google. It's for free, or from IBM. Get these certificates. They will help you, in the long run. In 90s, when we, in 80s, when the computer, pop up in the market, everybody said it will be revolutionary the market, and everybody thought that the computers, they will just be supplementary, let's say, science or field to what we're already doing. Now, with the advent of internet in the 90s, this changed completely, and now we're saying about AI that will complement our current fields, which now, for now, yes, this is true, but I think AI will transform all the fields, and if all the fields, they have to be absorbed by AI, meaning if you don't have a data science knowledge, there's no way to operate, not even as a psychologist in the future.
Yeah, I agree to that, especially AI part, because I'm working as a data science intern, and we are
Uh-huh.
developing some of the advanced AI tools, which are probably going to replace some people. And so, some people are really scared of AI and they're afraid that their jobs might be replaced. What do you think the role of the AI in the future and its impact on the labor market?
Look, I will tell you a secret, and I give you an example with online education. In online education, you give you the opportunity to study online any kind of degree, not any kind, but certain types of degrees. Uh, but this kind of opportunity is useful for whom? What kind of people? Those who have already degree. The same applies with AI. In my field, because I can tell you in my field in research, and I said to my students, guys, don't use AI to generate a paper. AI is useful for me because I know how to write. For you that you don't know how to write yet, is useless because you don't know how to make changes, to the text. You don't know whether, the citations are real or fictitious. Most of the times are fictitious, meaning you can find a paper that the title is correct, but it's not belong to that journal or to that year. So automatically, if you decide to publish in a journal, you will be humiliated because the journals have sophisticated softwares. And if they realize that they checked and you are AI, automatically you'll be in a blacklist, and you don't want this to happen to you. In other words, AI is good to give you ideas, not to replace the whole job. Because I give an example. That's why my students, and then my students start thinking about it. They said, I want to use AI for whatever I do. Okay, let's assume that you want to go to a company and your manager asks you a report, and you tell him, I'll do the AI and I will write the report. Then your manager, he will ask you, if you want to use AI to do the job, why I need to hire, not to hire a high school diploma to give him or her, the ChatGPT prompt, generate my, report based on, historical data we have here, and everybody will be happy. I don't need someone with a bachelor degree. I have someone with high school diploma. He can do the same job as you, but I have to pay him 30 to 40% less. And
Hello, can you hear me?
okay. Yeah, guys, I'm online. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now I can hear your
okay.
voice.
Okay. So, as I said that don't be surprised if you find a job in a company and they will tell you you cannot use AI to do your job. And if you don't know how to do your job without using AI, you will lose your job.
Yeah. Also, we are noticing that in our workplace too, because if we rely on AI to generate code and write whole the code for ourselves, we are we may lose our programming skills, and especially it's not good if somebody is just joining fresh to the company with really low programming skills and using AI to generate all the code. So they may have
Exactly.
less value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look, I read an article 2 months ago about India, that India has a matured, market in IT. And while, the company is looking for, programmers, they cannot find decent programmers. Why? 8 out of 10 programmers, they don't know how to code because they said, I wanted, to put on AI. I don't need to code. And when they go for an interview, job interview, usually the manager says, okay, write me a small code, 10 lines in order how it works this. And they cannot do it. They put it on AI. They come up with a very sophisticated, word of a couple of pages, and they fail the interview.
Yeah. And you mentioned about the game theory, and
Yeah.
maybe most people don't know about that. Can you please tell us about game theory and its application in real life? Especially, that would be better if you can give some examples to somebody who has never heard of game theory and its impact. Thank you.
Look, game theory is a very interesting field. It revolutionized in the 50s. John Nash was, the pioneer, but before that, also, Morgenstern and some other guys that they were, inventors of nuclear bomb. Oppenheimer. They found something. Let's say the roots of game theory. Game theory is to try to quantify what will be the outcomes of, let's say, usually is between two parties. Let's say, or not agreement, disagreement, whatever they have, to solve. And this can be, let's say, between the two people that they want to, one sells his house and the other wants to buy his house, or up to a level that the two countries, they fight each other and they want, to split, let's say, Kashmir. I wrote a paper between Pakistan and India about Kashmir. And, if you do a multi-dimension, game theory, what will be the outcome? And look, you need to find the optimal solution. An optimal solution has to be a win-win situation, that both parties, that they will win from this outcome. Of course, this is utopian because most of the times the person or the party that has the power usually sets the rules. Can I give an example between Ukraine and Russia? Russia is a Estonian party. No matter what Ukraine wants, there's no way to get a fair deal solution when they come to negotiation and to completely to finish terminate this military conflict. Of course, this will be beneficial for Russia. There's no doubt about it. So what do? You go back, you follow reverse engineering. You go back to the beginning and try to find, okay, before, let's say, if I know what is the outcome or what I want me to gain from this, game, I need to go back in the beginning and see what I need to offer in order to, let's say, secure the final outcome after 10, 15, or I don't know how many steps. Of course, the other person doesn't have a clue that you are already, have calculated this outcome. And this is about game theory. And I give you a very big example of game theory, which you never thought about it. What happened in the Second World War with, nuclear, bombs that the United States threw, in Japan, correct?
Yes, it destroyed two city, this entire population almost.
Let me ask you now, why you think United States threw two bombs and not one? This is a game theory, classic game theory, the biggest bluff in history.
I honestly, I don't know the reason why this true.
Look,
not one is two.
Look, if it was only one bomb, the emperor, the Japanese emperor, will think, okay, it was one bomb, we can retaliate, and then with all his force, he will try to fight United States, because he did it with Pearl Harbor. The biggest mistake of the Japanese emperor is that he supposed with his fleet to attack not only Pearl Harbor but United States in order to to stop them retaliate. With the second bomb, the emperor thought if they have a second bomb, it means they have a third one. And that's why he negotiated and said, okay, the game is over. Meaning the Americans convinced the Japanese that there is a third bomb, where it wasn't. They had only two bombs. This was a game theory.
Yeah, and that's interesting to know. And do you think we can also explain irrational decisions made by people using game theory? Maybe it can be economic decisions. What do you think about that?
Yes, look, there are certain assumptions, meaning when you build an economic model or mathematical model, but let's say economic, you need to set up certain assumptions. And one of them is rationality, meaning that you expect the other person to act rationally. Okay, and rationally is the common sense that all of us have, but you have to remember something, that rationality differs from continent to continent. It's not the same thing, and it is shaped based on how a person or a country is defined through centuries. Meaning, don't expect that an Asian, let's say, country with a European or Latino American country to behave the same. The pattern probably will be the same, but in terms of details, probably will be different, because the details makes every decision unique. So, for instance, I give an example, with consumer behavior. The Americans love convenience, meaning that they want, whenever they go all the shops to be there, the malls and everything, because they don't want to travel around. They don't want, to spend time. And where the Europeans, they love to go from one shop in another small shop because our, cities are more concentrated. We have a better transportation. Where in the United States, the public transportation, is non-existent. Very few cities they have a decent transportation. Where in Asia, the consumer behavior is dictated based on the culture, meaning that also religion matters, meaning that if they realize that, this product is not, let's say, insulted in some way, based on religion, the consumers will not buy it. So you have a different approach. And that's why, if you have the opportunity to pay attention, to advertisements for every country are totally different. You will perhaps laugh with advertisements for European or Americans, and the same will happen with me when I see advertisements here, or not with Americans, because we have many similarities, meaning that our experience are different.
Yeah. And you mentioned about early on your extensive research, like publishing more than 40 papers. That's really impressive. And if I'm not mistaken, you also did research on COVID-19. And
Yes,
so,
I was lucky.
who has,
I was
yeah.
I was lucky because look, when I had to move from Malaysia, I said, to my ex-wife that look, either we have to go to Europe or United States. United States, the only way to get in any time is through studies. If you think that you get a job and get there, it's not possible because they have, the proper force and very competitive force, and they don't need someone from outside unless if you do some crazy stuff or you are already, well established, professional. So because of financial crisis, because my Europe is still, suffering from financial crisis of 2008, 2009. There, I couldn't be able to get to secure a solid job, and then I decided, because I need to develop the knowledge, mathematical knowledge, and build better economic models, to go back to the States. And this was probably the best decision I made because of COVID-19. Meaning, I managed to stay in academia, to get a third master, and also to write 10 papers on COVID-19. And also, I published my book, which means, I gain a lot from this, move in United States back then. Yes, I wrote about COVID-19 because, look, I want to write papers on real time. Real time, it means it happens right now. I don't want to write about something that happened 5 years or 10 years ago. I'm not a historian. And when I said to my colleagues, they don't like that. Guys, my life changed when I wrote the paper on terrorism in 2016. And I realized that this can have impact in lives. That's what I want to write papers. I want, to come one day and say, because of your paper, probably either I save your life or I make your life better. It's better you as a person to tell me rather than an academician that I solve a problem, something that hasn't been solved for 10 years, 20 years. Who cares? The most important is to write papers as a scientist in order to have a direct impact on our society. I want the ordinary people to feel that impact. If I have to stay in academia just for the sake of it, because to have some titles or to show off for the title, to my students, this is useless for me. It's not working. I want, to generate thinkers like my students. I'm trying to push my student undergraduates to publish. Probably I will be the first one who doing that. And I want to write papers that, I can save lives. My colleague, because I wrote papers, if you check my CV, most of the papers with a Latino American friend, a colleague, Dr. Mario Arturo Ruiz Estrada, which is, a very brilliant guy. He wrote more than 400 papers. And he told me that one of our papers that we wrote about COVID, the Italian, emergency agency called him, texted him, and said, if they get our permission in order to use this paper to stop COVID-19, in northern part of Italy. That is what is, science about. To be able, the governments to come to you and tell you, we need your help. Help us.
And so, How has your research on COVID-19's economic impact has changed how you think about economic resilience in the country?
Look, COVID-19 was probably a start point. Everything had changed. I don't know if there is some conspiracy theories behind it that it was on purpose or whatever. The only thing I tell you that the dominance of China has ended because of COVID-19, and everything started collapsing. The people stay in, they change some kind of their behavior. Social behavior also has changed. Education become online. Most of the people become familiar with online education, with hybrid work environments. uh, what else? And also we have this change, dynamic change of globalization, meaning that the deglobalization start coming, starting from that period. What we experience now is from globalization moving to deglobalization. Why? You have to realize that we don't have natural resources. And since we don't have natural resources, most of the countries realize that, and those who have natural resources, they will keep their natural resources for their own citizens. That's what I say, to Uzbekistan, to the Uzbek people, guys. You have natural resources. You have to protect your natural resources. Uh, the globalization is over, and you have to protect it, because other countries with more people, population than yours, probably they will come and attack you. Don't be surprised that we'll have war about natural resources. That's what happened with India and Pakistan. It's about water. The same will be in the future. You have gold, you have other things that many countries really want. You have to be prepared that some Asian countries, they will, things will change, worldwide, and they will try to attack to those countries that they are, let's say, weak, in order to take, their natural resources. This is something that you have to think about it, because your country and many, not only your country, many countries, in Central Asia, the productivity came to Central Asia. They moved from Southeast Asia, that was 10 years ago, and moved and came to Central Asia. Now the hub, the, let's say, investment hub in Asia is Central Asia. And if you want to keep it here, you have to make the right changes and moves, in order to for the future, to secure the future, not only the people that live right now, but also for your children.
Yeah, especially when it comes to, as you talked early on, like China, many people still wonder how China is developing at such space. I mean, at such pace, even being communist country. Some people mention. What do you think about that? Success of China while being communistic country. Even some
Yeah,
Western people
look, you have
look back.
not Look, you have not to underestimate China. China is like Greece, one of the two countries with the research, research, rich civilization. Chinese, perhaps they be affected by communism, but they are smart. And they know that, in a certain extent, that communism, the shape that the experience was not working. And that's why they moved to the capitalistic communist. Because look, it's not easy to control 1.5 billion people. You need to have power, and very strict power, because it's very easy, to turn down, and because the different kind of, regions, they need to have a bigger slice of the pie. Okay. Now, China is one of the few countries that they bypass the middle income trap. Probably, I don't know if you have heard this term, because your country, Uzbekistan, now will reach in 2030 the middle income trap, which is what? The only countries that bypass this threshold is Singapore, Japan, South Korea, and China. No one else. All the rest, they collapse. I was in Malaysia for 8.5 years, and I saw this happening. And I told them, if you don't change, you will go back to the Stone Age. That's what I said also to Uzbekistan. What happens? Now you develop your economy with Me Too strategy. You copy, techniques. You have FDIs, foreign direct investments. They can't flow in money the last 10, 15 years. Everybody are happy. You make money. You have industry and so on. But in order to bypass this middle income trap and become like Singapore, South Korea, you need to create your own knowledge. To create your knowledge, you need to put the right people to do the right job, not connections, not because you are a cousin of the president to get the job. It is not working. The right people will not come to work. I know many Uzbeks. I met some that came here for a conference that they work in Europe. They are not planning to come back because they don't want someone, a loser, who doesn't have has the connection but doesn't have the ability to tell them what to do. The right Uzbeks, they will come back only if things will change. And with these people that they are educated and they have, the know-how, they can move your country to the next level. Otherwise, nothing will change. Nothing will change because it happens. I told you, from all the countries, developing countries, that they try to bypass middle income trap, only these 4 countries, and for different reasons. Singapore is a financial hub, and that's why they managed to change that. Japan and South Korea, they managed, to move to the next level because they adjusted the American way of thinking. Why? Because they know after what happened, in Korean War and in Second World War for Japan, that they are very close societies. They realize that we, all foreigners, are, they want to destroy us, and that's why we have to, to turn to ourselves and not trust anyone. And that's what they do, meaning that's why Japanese, they don't trust anyone, and they work, a couple of hours extra for the government because they support and they trust the government. China is a different game. China has the manpower, the natural resources, and the space in order to attract, as it did, all the production in the world, meaning they managed to bring all know-how, inside China. Since they did that, the cost of production went up, and the last 10 years, many companies, smart companies, start to leave, and they move to the first part was in Vietnam. I remember 2011, 2020, they moved there because, the cost of production in China was, rising back then. But the Chinese managed to develop their own technology. They brought people, they sent people in Europe to study, in the United States, they bring them back because look, the only people that they come back from Asians, very few Asians, countries, is Chinese. The Chinese always, they want to go back to China, to help China. And that's why they managed, to create their own technology and, to bypass this middle income trap. There is no any other country from these 4 I mentioned that they bypass this, this trap. And now your challenge is in 2030. What I foresee for Uzbekistan is you will not be able, to pass this, threshold. FDI will start leaving, and the cost of, many countries, you will be affected with job. The stock will start, losing your jobs, and you will have a problem. Let's hope that it's not going to happen because, your geopolitical, position is really critical. And after, President Putin came here and made an agreement with your, president about nuclear, to build 5 nuclear reactors. I don't know how this will, affect your economy. But based on what I know, it is highly unlikely that you will be able to keep FDIs in your country if you don't make the right, changes.
Yeah. It's really interesting to listen to your speech. I'm gaining a lot of insights. And talking about Central Asia, we are also seeing, development of Kazakhstan at a much better pace compared to other post, South countries. Even their population twice less compared to Uzbekistan, and also natural resources maybe. So what do you think about the development of Kazakhstan and how it's developing much faster compared to other countries?
Look, I give them an example of what happened in Southeast Asia. Singapore is Kazakhstan and you are Malaysia. Whatever Malaysia is trying to do, Singapore, because it has its means, they do it better and they copy. That's the problem, meaning that your Kazakhstan is always one step ahead of you. And if you come up with some good idea, they will copy the idea and they make it better. That's your problem. That Kazakhstan, it was the first country that they make, this kind of development, and always they are, 2-3 steps ahead of you. And these create problems to Uzbekistan, because even if you come up with a better idea, they will try to copy and steal it from you and present it as their own, or to present it in a better, in a better package. That's what Singapore is doing with Malaysia. So that's your problem, meaning that you have competition with Kazakhstan, and if you want to prevail in Central Asia, you have to beat Kazakhstan.
Okay, and it's been almost 1 hour that we have been talking, and we may end with the last question. But
Yep.
I'm still amazed by your knowledge, experience, even your speech. I have gained a lot of insights. Maybe I also believe that people also have got a lot of insights from your speech. And what do you suggest as a final statement to those who are just university students, are going to maybe want to join like economics academy, or also build career in economics and finance in general? What skills would be would you suggest to improve, and as a general advice? Thank you.
Before saying that, I will have to tell you something, that to get a job in academia now, it's only 10%. And if you want to secure a job, you need to graduate from a very good school or Ivy League school. Otherwise, you will have the problems that I experienced, and that's why I wrote the papers. The only way to bypass those problems is to write a lot of papers. The papers are not only because I like writing, it's because they keep me competitive on international level. So if you want to do your PhD, you need to like writing. If you don't write, there's no way to get a job in academia. I'm telling you, the truth. I'm telling also, this to my students, because I don't want to have, false hope for something that, because I saw that in Malaysia, that from 10 students, 8 or 9 students, they thought, okay, I'll get PhD, I will teach 2-3 hours per week, and I'll get this status, and I live a nice life. No, this model has already, gone. Why? Because back then, 30 or 40 years, we need teachers. Now we need researchers. That's the difference. You need, and also to teach, we take from granted, but at the same time, you need to write. If you cannot write, don't do it. Now, in terms of economics and finance, are very good, fields, but at the same time, you have to diversify, meaning don't, study only of those fields. You need to, as you see now, we did also in Westminster, we finance, I think, with AI, artificial intelligence or data science, and the same with economics, meaning you have to add a data science, let's say, minor or double major, in order to be able, to remain competitive. Meaning you need more math and statistics and programming. This is for sure. Now, for those who want to do finance, they need to get professional certificates, meaning they have to do CFA, Certified Financial Analyst, before they graduate, at least to get number 1, because this will give them, a better job. There are only 10 professionals in Uzbekistan. They have CFA. They are CFA holders, and of course they have very good jobs, which means if you get the CFA, you can get any job in Uzbekistan, which is American. The other are the professional certificates in accounting. ACCA from UK is the most dominant, and that's why even our students, they study ACCA, because it gives you the opportunity to become a certified public accountant, and you can work for the Big Four, and finally to get, start your own business. So meaning that these are, let's say, the requirements that you need in order to stay, on your profession. In terms of economics, even a master level is not enough. You need PhD, because you need to do research. In finance is different. With, finance, in a master of finance, it will be okay. But the problem in finance is that you cannot do a master in finance if you don't have a solid background in mathematics. Because of the stochastics and the advanced econometric techniques, you need to have a bachelor or at least a minor in mathematics in order to be accepted in a program of finance. So that's why you will do either MBA in finance, which needs some kind of work experience, at least 3 to 5 years. Don't do an MBA without work experience, because it will be useless. or to do, as I said to my students, banking and finance. And I tell them the best is Switzerland. Go to University of Lausanne, University of St. Gallen, and get a master in banking and finance, and you're fine. You can get any job in Uzbekistan.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for your advice and for being here too. I hope everyone has got a lot of insights, and I really appreciate your time. I was not expecting it to be really such an informative conversation. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Guys, I
Hope,
want, look, as
yeah,
I said, because you are young people, as I said to my students, I want to succeed in life. And I want to give information that, can be useful, for you. Um, uh, and also I can learn from you, because you can say, prof, what you said now probably is not working. And then you will tell me, things have changed. Yes, I'm sure certain things have changed, but I need you to know that you have options and to explore your options. Don't be lost, because your generation, you have so many information and you don't know where to look for. Where my generation, with all the information, even those who were available, were hidden. It was available only for the elite. Now you have everything, in the palm of your hand, but you don't know where to look. And that's why my job is to tell you where to, to look in order to find the optimal for you, because your generation cannot make mistakes. That's the problem. You need not to make mistakes. It's not like before. Why? Because behind you, when you graduate a couple of years, there are new graduates with the same qualifications and younger than you. Now you realize that probably your age doesn't matter, but after the age of 30 you realize that in order to remain competitive in the job you have, you need to educate yourself. Otherwise, someone who's 20, 22 years old, they will take your job and say, yes, but I have work experience. Yes, but for many employers, they don't care, because they want to pay you less. And if these guys, they come with better qualifications, but no work experience, they say, okay, we will be the local experience here, and they will catch up faster than you. That's the logic. Because if you have more qualifications, you will catch up, and they will, get the money that they give you to you. Let's say if they pay you, let's say, and get the money back in 5 years, probably with a new qualification, they will get in 2 years or 3 years. They gain money. They gain, their profit is big.
yeah, that's true. But I really agree with all of your points because they really make sense. Even you said some of them might be old, may not apply, but I see all of them really apply. Even the context that you mentioned about the AI too, which I'm seeing on a daily basis at my job too. And so yeah, thank you so much, sir. I
Thank
really
you
appreciate
guys
it.
for having me. I really appreciate our conversation.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Hope you gained something from this conversation, and see you next week. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.